Podcast in town. I'm Andrew Chelney alongside Nick Zararis. We scream about the Rangers so that you don't have to. This is episode 79, live on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, and we are available wherever you get your podcasts as well. Nick, it was tight, but they beat the Devils. They're still missing Fox. They're still missing Hedel, but the Rangers just keep winning. They keep rolling, and now they're 12-2-1 on the season.
Next man up. When you are a good team, you find ways. We keep harping on it, and it's going to keep being true. If they keep winning games in the manner they are, you start to get that special feeling. The performances have been not the most even-footed. There were definitely moments in that game on Saturday night where I was nervous, where I felt uncomfortable, but I think I wasn't the only one. I was at the game on Saturday, and I know I saw more than one person on social media say, "Why is it so quiet?" That was 17,000 people sitting on their hands for 2.5 hours, scared shitless on both sides. Okay. That had the vibe of a playoff game where neither team wanted to make a mistake, even though there were a lot on both sides. It was kind of a ugly hockey game.
It looked like the ice was kind of not great. The puck was bouncing around. People were falling down. It didn't look like it was the greatest ice surface last night.
No, I definitely had that thought to myself as well, because there were some fluky bounces, some guys going down, weird deflections, that kind of thing. But you think about the goals that won that game and the players who delivered to win that game. It's what it's been all year. The Panarin line cooking, and we're going to talk about them specifically a little bit later. And then you got a goal from somewhere else. A couple games it's been Will Cooley. A couple games it's been other guys up and down the lineup. It hasn't been Kreider and Zibanejad, but when you get 2 goals from Jimmy Vesey against the Devils, you take that 100 times out of 100 and you run away like a bandit. I don't know if the Rangers played well enough to deserve to win, if you want to say that, but they found a way. And the reason I feel good about the way they played on Saturday was they could have let that game get away from them really quickly. I've been at games at the Prudential Center where the Rangers got off to a good start, they scored, and then the Devils scored 1, and then they scored 3 in 6 minutes. I remember the first game after the trade deadline 2 years ago, where the first game Justin Braun played as a Ranger, they scored 3 goals in the first period. They were winning 3-1, and then the second period came, and the Devils scored 4 goals in 7 minutes, and Gallant didn't use a timeout in those 7 minutes. The Devils can sneak up on you, and if the perfect inflection
sold
point.
It on the black market afterwards, Nick. I don't know if you know that.
The inflection point of that game in my mind was the Jack Hughes goal, the first one, the one that snuck through Igor, which we're going to talk about the officiating too, because that was something I wanted to touch on. But a mentally weaker team lets a type of goal like that get in their head, be a little bit pissed off. It's not our night, blah, 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 starts trickling in. And slowly but surely, the refs aren't with us. We're going to have a hard time tonight. It's very easy for a game to get away from you when you have moments like that happen. But that team found a way. And it's really encouraging that they keep finding ways. And it's with contributions from everyone. We talked about it in regards to the goalies last week. They got wings from Domingue and Quick the last time we talked. This week, it's 2 goals from Jimmy Vesey. You can't bank on that all the time, but in a crucial situation, you did get it.
Yeah, I mean, the Shesterkin had a bad first period. Let's start there, because the especially the first goal. He hasn't played a game in 2 weeks prior to that point. He had maybe one practice, maybe 1.5 practices. It looked like he was a little bit off in that first period, and you could tell. I mean, that first goal, I can't believe that counted. Whether Rangers fan, Devils fan, whatever fan you want, it doesn't matter what team you're a fan of. To see the Rangers go from the refs saying this is not a goal because of this, to then doing a complete 180 and saying, oh, that actually doesn't matter when we call the whistle, because forward motion, it's in the net, all good. That's just objectively hilarious. How essentially the same goal got called 2 different ways. Also, in the first goal, back when the goal was taken away from the Rangers, the puck was already in the net, and they still called it back. So now to see the puck not even in the net before the whistle blew, but all of a sudden it's forward momentum, so the puck counted. That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not it's a bad goal by Shesterkin. That play never should have happened, because Shesterkin should have had that all day, every day, and usually he does. He was rusty, had a bad period. think it is what it is. That goal never should have counted to begin with because I can't imagine. Like, are you telling me in a game 7 of the final, if that happens, that they're counting that goal? No, they're not. But if it's the Rangers playing, that's when things get a little chippy. But ultimately, the Shesterkin had a bad period, but then you can't blame him on the third goal, and he had a really good rest of the game. So the Rangers right now are led. I mean, Panarin, you mentioned him. 15 straight games with points, and now he broke the Rangers record. Now also 5 straight games with multi-point games. Like, this is, should I just shave my head? Like, is that really the solution to all this? Is to just go bald and dominate?
So, a couple of points off of that. Number one, I do agree with you. Shesterkin definitely looked a little wonky to get that game started. But on the officials, and this has been my beef with the NHL, officiating, Department of Player Safety, all of it forever. There is no consistency. They do not explain rulings in the slightest. That was my issue with the way that what happened in the Columbus game. They just said no goal. They didn't say the referee intended to blow their whistle, therefore no goal. If the NHL wants people to believe in their officials, which no one does, frankly, as somebody who watches the 4 major sports, we can all agree. Nobody loves the officials in any sport. None of them are particularly good at their jobs. It is a difficult job. All we ask for: consistency, transparency. If you want to make that call, I did not understand what happened because I was at the game. The referee's explanation did not make sense. He did not say, well, it was an errant whistle, I didn't mean to blow the whistle. He said it was under review, we got a good goal. Well, you need to articulate that it was an inadvertent whistle. That I have heard before. I have heard of a referee didn't mean to blow the whistle. Okay, the puck is in. Or in regards to what happened with the goal against Columbus for Will Cooley, I have heard the official say, well, intent to blow the whistle means the play is dead. They need to articulate that. It cannot just be, well, this is what happened because I say so. That leaves people to the conspiracy theories. No, the referees don't hate the Rangers. They're just bad at their jobs. That I repeat this all the time. There is no vast conspiracy. The NHL is not against one of the second most valuable team in the league. These people are just not good at their jobs, and the NHL has no vested interest in making them do their jobs better because the owners don't particularly care how the games are officiated. Again, if you ever need change in your league, it's got to impact the owners. That's why they're so gradually small. Why change in the NHL is so granularly small. Not a lot impacts the owners because a lot of this stuff just doesn't matter to them. You start getting weird things happening like that to star players in important games. Okay, maybe. But we know how seriously the league office takes James Dolan when he's upset. So I doubt the Rangers getting the short end of the stick on a couple calls moves the needle in any particular way for Gary Bettman and co up there.
I wish that wasn't the case. You're more than likely right about that. It's just, like, I understand you want to appease the owners and all that, but at the end of the day, like, don't you want your sport to be better? Well, you know what?
You would think.
You know what? It's the NHL. Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Don't answer that.
Going off of that, and you mentioned it, and I'll start talking about this now. During the game on Saturday while I was there, Dmitry Filipovich tweeted Panarin had contributed on 51% of the Rangers' goals last season. The all-time record for a single season, I want to say, was Connor McDavid last year, and it was like 54 or 55%. Panarin's first year as a Ranger, he had 41% of the goals shared. That is an absurd amount of points to be putting up, and an absurd amount of points to be contributing on. And for the better part of the last 3 years, we have talked about the Rangers not having enough scoring and that being their biggest issue. That's still the case. The Rangers are not scoring enough. They are not getting any depth scoring at all. Part of that, you have to grade them on a curve to some degree because of the injuries they're dealing with right now. That doesn't mean we don't take that into account, but that is part of the calculus right now. Without Adam Fox, without Filipino, you are effectively running 2 third lines right now. Nick Bonino, Will Cooley, Capo Caco functionally is operating as a 4th line. Low event, dump the puck in. They had a rough game on Saturday. The Devils did a good job of isolating the Jack Hughes line against them and playing that hard matchup. I want to say 2 of the 3 Devil goals came against them. I could be wrong on that. I might have to check. But when you are dealing with injuries the way the Rangers are right now, especially to someone like Adam Fox, where if you have a healthy Adam Fox, he's not going to make that Bonino, Cooley, Kako line good, but he's going to be able to tilt the ice for them a little bit more where they're not as caved in and they don't have to operate as a second, fourth line. But right now you're in survival mode. If Panarin keeps doing what he's doing and you got a power play that's humming at 30% like they are right now, you can get by with this for now. They need to get healthy. And I definitely want to talk about the Hedl situation at some point, because this may be a real long-term issue as far as the team goes, because he hasn't resumed skating and they have no idea when he might be able to resume skating. And they can't go with Nick Bonino as the third line center for more than another few weeks. They just can't if they want to maintain what they're doing so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're probably going to LTIR Hedl, put him on there retroactively, and see where it goes from there, and then try to just bank dollar, after dollar, that's as much as they can, and they'll go from there. In terms of Panarin, when you have a player that's absolutely dominating for you like that, you need to have people around him that are doing anything of value. And I tweeted this out, and I want to reiterate that some of this is slightly wrong that Satboy Steven has mentioned. But last season, this is a very common reoccurrence with numbers with Mr. 93, Mika Zibanejad. November 6th, 2022, I tweeted out, Mika Zibanejad has 0 5-on-5 goals through 13 games. That was last season. This season, I said, and I'll retroactively correct this, Mika Zibanejad has 0 5-on-5 goals through 15 games this season. Can we talk about Mika Zibanejad for a second? It's tough, right? Because the team has won 12 out of 15 games. So highlighting an issue seems like, the Rangers keep winning, so why does it matter that Zibanejad isn't scoring? But eventually, Panarin's not going to score 9 points a game. He's going to have to need Kreider, Zibanejad, those kinds of players to start scoring. He can't do all of it himself. 51-point share is an asinine number that will just not stick. Unless you're with Connor McDavid is an anomaly, and maybe if Panarin keeps doing it, I guess he'll be the anomaly too, but it's not the norm. That kind of number is not the norm, and don't expect it to be the norm. You need your other top players on a team to also contribute offensively. Zibanejad has seen some looks. He's missed the net a few times. He's hit the post once or twice. The opportunities have been there for him, but he's got to start scoring at 5-on-5. It pains me that this is a kind of a yearly conversation that we have about him, where at the start of the season he just kind of doesn't do much at 5-on-5, and while the Rangers are winning, it's fine, right? Or I guess quote unquote fine, because Panarin is covering it up. Jimmy Vesey on Saturday had 2 goals, covers up the issue that we're seeing from that Zibanejad line. But ultimately, Zibanejad, Kreider, and Wheeler didn't do a whole lot against the Devils. They haven't really been doing a whole lot thus far. And it's time to kind of figure out, hey, this is your first line. They're going to be seeing a lot of 5-on-5 ice time. Can we get any kind of offensive production out of them? Because we're not seeing it.
They did not have a particularly good game on Saturday. But to reiterate just how good Panarin was on Saturday, so Trocheck, and Lafreniere. 64% of the scoring chances, 70% of the expected goals, 83% of the high danger chances. That's just utter domination. They realistically probably should have had a third goal. They had that breakaway on the odd man rush where Lafreniere lost his edge, wiped out, and busted his ass. That realistically should have been another goal. The Rangers played a decent game when that group was on the ice.
Had a tough game.
He had a tough game, but he still was impactful. He still managed to make some things happen. When you have only one line going, it's got to be tilting the ice, and they tilted the ice. When they were on the ice, they were in the double zone a lot. the thing that impressed me about the way the Rangers played on Saturday was it was an ugly hockey game. It was banging down low in the corners for loose pucks. The two Jimmy Vesey goals, that's just going to the net with your head down and making something happen. Sure, the Devils probably should have played both better, especially the second one where Dougie Hamilton was just kind of in between on pinch going for the puck and staying back to try and block the shot. Sure, you could say that, but when you are playing with that type of line, and we talked about this a lot last year, where Vesey, Mott, and Gaudreau were really the one line that the Rangers could consistently count on, where even if they weren't getting a lot of looks, that when they would get the puck in the offensive zone, they would take it to the net front. It wasn't a particularly dangerous look. It wasn't a particularly good shot. But if you go to the net front, you force the defenseman to play defense, weird things can happen, man. When Jimmy Vesey put his back to the play on his backhand, I thought there's no way he's shooting this. There's no way he's shooting this. And he hit the net square in the middle, and I audibly gasped. I stood up. I yelled. I did not think Jimmy Vesey was capable of making something like that happen. But if you go to the net, good things happen. That's a cliche, like get your feet moving, pucks in deep, whatever. But if you go to the net,
60. The
play
classic.
the full 60, yeah, hey man, the greatest hits work. The Rolling Stones have been playing the greatest hits on tour for 40 years now. You get the puck to the net front, weird shit happens, it goes in. That's what you want to see when you're struggling offensively. That's a mindset that's infectious. That was something that stood out to me about the way they played on Saturday. And that wasn't just the Vesey line, but that entire group knew, they had an understanding. Hey, the Devils are a really fast team. If we want to slow them down, we need to play them physically. We need to make their defensemen play defense. If they're on defense, they can't score on us, unlike what happened in the spring this past spring.
My favorite part of all of this is that the Rangers had 5 days off, and now they play 4 games in 6 days.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's actually, yeah, wait, am I counting this? No, I'm wrong. It's actually 4 games in 5 days. They play tonight, off on Tuesday, then they play Pittsburgh, and then they're off one day, and then they play back-to-back games.
Yep.
Great. I for one, Nick, I don't know if you know this, but I for one am really enjoying this ridiculous schedule the Rangers currently have. But yeah, I mean, again, the Rangers needed Panarin to do everything that he did, and he showed up because that's bald Panarin TM for you. But the Rangers need heroes essentially to drag them over the edge, push them over the line in a lot of these games. Like Vesey was the hero on Saturday. For all that Panarin did, for everything that he's done, you know, at this point, because his point streak has gone for so long, I don't want to say you can count on him to score multiple points, but like let's just say that Panarin will score 2 points every game for the rest of the season. Okay. But for the most, like a lot of those nights, you need more than, 2 goals to win the game. So the Rangers need somebody else to do that, and they've needed a hero. It's not it hasn't been a full-on performance from all 4 lines for a while, and it's again like it's tough for me to say that when they've won 12 out of the 15 games.
They also are dinged up. That's why I'm not particularly worried about the underlyings and the impacts right now, because when you're this shorthanded, you just got to scrape it together. Gustafson's done a solid job on the second pair. They are making do on the back end. But they only have 2 forward lines right now that are capable of scoring, and only one of them is going right now. Well, the third and fourth line, I'm not expecting anything from.
No. Well, that's what I'm trying to say is that, I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, well, the Rangers have won 12 out of 15 games, and they're banged up, but, like, here's all of the negative things associated with this team right now. It's like, no, but Chytil coming back, let's say Chytil comes back tomorrow. That's not fixing Zibanejad's complete inability to score a 5-on-5 goal. Like that's that is one of the things that I wanted to highlight, because if you don't highlight it now, it will only increase in magnitude as the season goes on. Let's say it gets to 20 games out without a 5-on-5 goal, 25 games. Like, you're the first line setter, bro. At a certain point, you gotta score a goal. You gotta, and you can't rely on the power play to get it done. Like, come on, bro. Please.
My counterpoint to that would be the fact that he's done this exact type of thing more than once, where he's just gone on these really rough dry spells at 5-on-5. So if we're still talking about this a week or two from now, then I think we can start having an actual conversation about what's not working. And I think once we get to, I want to see it's the 20 game mark where Corey Snyder starts putting out his zone tracking stuff, and I can kind of go under the hood and diagnose a little bit better what they're doing that's different, that's not working. But metrics wise, Kreider and Zibanejad are still doing okay, even with the corpse of Blake Wheeler. Blake Wheeler is not a first-line player in 2023. We know that. The Rangers know that. Peter Laviolette knows that. But they are just trying to make do for now with triage best they can until they get healthy. I think we're all in agreement that they need one more forward. Who that forward is, we have plenty of time to identify who they could potentially add.
Yeah. The caveat to all of this is, again, I would much rather Zibanejad not score 5-on-5 in November than in June.
Yeah, of course.
That's the caveat to all of this. Is they're winning a bunch of games. Here are the issues, but I'd much rather the issues happen now than in Game 7 of the Cup final.
Yeah, that a long way to go. The reason I feel differently about this team versus last year, and this is something I was talking about with somebody at the game on Saturday. When they were healthy, the defense was actively good. The defense hasn't been as good the last few games, but that's to be expected. You're reconfiguring pairs, moving guys around. Schneider and Jones were pretty good on Saturday. That was encouraging to see because for the first game that Jones got in against, I want to say it was Columbus, he had a really rough go that first game he got in. And then against Minnesota, the game where they blew the lead, he was not great in that game. But him and Schneider putting together a decent game against a good team, and I know the Devils' record isn't great right now, but the Devils are a good team. The Devils will be a playoff team, barring something weird happening down the road. But they have enough talent where the fact they didn't get killed at 5-on-5, and something I like about something that Jones gives them, that Gustafsson gives them as well, is Jones can actually move the puck. He's not scared of it. He's not the most physical player. He's never going to impress you defensively. And I know that's really the knock a lot of people have about Jones, is that his defense leaves a lot to be desired. I'm okay with that trade-off because they actually move the puck when he is out there. That was something one of my friends who I went to the game with commented on, especially in that first period, was they could not get the puck out of their own zone. It took a while for that to get going. And as the game went along, they did get better in transition. I know there was the one power play they had, I want to say it was in the first period, where they got stood up trying to enter the offensive zone like 2 or 3 times and had to regroup, and the second unit went out and the first unit didn't do anything. But the fact they got better as the game went along, they didn't let the situation rattle them, which the Rangers have been shell-shocked in that building more than once. These are all encouraging signs that even if they're not where they need to be yet, they're better off than they were last year, and they still have the potential to get better. That's really the theme that keeps coming back to me and something I keep reiterating. But I feel like the fact that we are seeing improvement on issues from last season, that's a baseline. Okay, this team is better than last year just based off of that. And it still has the potential to get better because things are still being ironed out. This team will start to get healthy. Adam Fox is one of the 10 best hockey players in the world. You add him to a group that's rattled off this many in a row, then we're starting to cook. Then it's an argument. You know what a nice luxury it is to argue? Well, no, this guy should be in because he's good. It's great having a 6th and 7th defenseman who are actually good, as opposed to, well, do you want Ben Harper or do you want Libor Hayek? This is a good problem to have that good hockey teams have. The Rangers are actually going to have enough depth where we can have conversations about a good player sitting. That is something to be encouraged about.
I agree. I think that this team gives me a lot more hope about the prospect of the playoffs and how they're going to play in the playoffs than they did last season. This is a team that I don't, it's tough to kind of like project this, but I have a feeling that if the same Devils game happened under Gallant, like there could have been a situation where that game gets away from them, as you mentioned. Like this seems like a more mentally strong team than in years past. This at least, for we're outsiders, we're not in the locker room every night. Like we don't talk to the players, but it seems like they're way more willing to give it their all and kind of and bounce back when things don't go their way, as opposed to in years past, where especially when we saw it last season at the deadline, we're like, these losses don't matter. We're getting Patrick Kane. It doesn't matter. It's like it does feel like, at least visually, that attitude has kind of gone away. And now they're of the mindset of, okay, every game matters. It doesn't matter how many games we've won up to that point. We want to win as many games as we can. We want to generate, positive habits and work off of each other and all these things. So that's something that I really appreciated watching this team so far. I haven't seen, that one wild game in which they scored the first three and blew it. Not great. But overall, it seems like the attitude of, we are going to win every game no matter what, and I don't want to hear about the switch ever again, is working. And they look like a much better team as a result. Now, again, the roster is, at least defensively, is better. Their depth is struggling right now because Hedo's not playing. When he's coming back, and I know you wanted to talk about this a little bit earlier, when he's coming back, we kind of have no idea because
he hasn't even skated yet, so he hasn't cleared protocol yet.
He's had concussions in the past. When does this become an issue for the Rangers to be more worried about, is something that I wanted to ask you, because the concussions is not his first one, it's not his second one. He's had multiple concussions throughout his young career, and it's really tough. It's really tough to see that, because he has the talent. When he's playing and he's a little bit away from his last injury, he plays really well, but he keeps getting hit in the head. So at a certain point, when does that become an issue that Chris Drury needs to address? Because he's not even skating yet. We kind of just have no idea as to when he'll even be close to coming back.
So my understanding of the way this works is, I know it's the case in the NFL, but the NHL isn't as transparent in their policies because, as we all know, Gary Bettman believes CTE isn't caused by hockey. But the way I understand the protocol, the way it works is, you report your symptoms and you keep until your symptoms stop. You are not able to do anything. Once your symptoms stop, then you take what's a concussion test, where they ask you a series of questions, and based on your score, they judge if you've reached a baseline level of, okay, you're okay. And then you can start to skate, and then you get cleared for contact based on how you react to exercise once you've been cleared. We all know that once you get cleared to practice, doesn't necessarily mean you're cleared for contact. So the fact he has not even started skating yet leads me to believe he has not cleared the concussion test yet. I could be wrong about that, but that's based on my understanding of how these policies are laid out in sports to avoid repeat injuries. We all know that the more concussions you suffer, the more likely you are to get concussed in the future. That is why it seems like guys who get concussed more frequently, because it's true. Statistically, we know that if you get concussed, you are more likely to suffer another one for whatever reason. So I think the reason they can't address this yet, it's the reason they're not in on Patrick Kane. They're not accruing cap space right now because of Adam Fox is in long-term injured reserve. Once he comes back, they'll start accruing cap space again, and then we could talk about addressing that if that's still an issue. I don't think they can do anything about that. Probably, even if he doesn't come back, I don't think financially they could do anything, bring anyone else in until, I want to say, mid to late December, unless they send money out. If they trade somebody who's making money out and then make an additional move, they could. But I don't see a world where they would do that, because the options to do that are extremely limited. I think it's only like 2 or 3 guys they could do that to, and those would be guys who are actually useful, so you wouldn't want to trade them. So I don't think there's anything they can do. Well, no, because he's still got the full no move, doesn't he? Or is it 10?
I don't think Barclay Goodrow has a no move clause.
He has a limited no move clause, if I remember correctly, because they were
he might, but even then, I think he, if you really wanted to move him, you could. Now
15 team no trade, so,
which is insane, by the way. Why
handing him out like candy?
I don't know. Doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. So that's the thing. I'm worried about it. Just as, as on the human level, like, this is somebody I really enjoy watching play hockey. It sucks we're not watching him play hockey, but you got to worry about the player before anything. And I'm glad the Rangers are slow playing this, because we know this is an organization in the past that has rushed guys back from injury before they were ready. They've played compromised. They haven't been as effective, and set them up to be whipping boys for not playing effective because they're playing injured, and then playing it off like they don't know that they're injured. like the entirety of the first half of last season where Jacob Trouba was injured, not practicing. And then the team would be like, well, he wants to play. He's going to play, even though he was obviously compromised and not effective. So switching up gears here, this is something I wanted to talk to you about because this was a subject of conversation online over the weekend and still going today on Monday, because whenever you have the Rangers going to the Devils, Rangers going to the Islanders, or any inversion of that where the tri-state area teams are overlapping, you start getting a lot of discourse. And a lot of the fan discourse is just people being mad about miscellaneous things. Like, I know I saw a bunch of Devils fans being upset that a group of Rangers fans who bought tickets through the Devils got to go on the ice after the game. Let me tell you how that works. A ticket rep who is making minimum wage, who is doing cold calls, finally found somebody who was willing to give them money. The commission they got from that sale is probably the difference between that person having a little extra spending money versus, not having any extra spending money. Doing sales in sports is one of the hardest jobs in the entire world. As a person who is on the Devils mailing list because I bought tickets to Devils games, I get their cold calls a lot. And I feel really bad every single time I hear the voice, would you be interested in buying New Jersey Devils season tickets? Well, actually, I'm a Rangers fan. And I hear the, oh. And they feel stupid for doing it. It is a really hard job to do. Let's have a little bit of rationality here. That is the biggest thing for a lot of these arguments, these conversations, is just, I understand the emotions are high. I understand Devils fans are upset they lost the game on Saturday. At the end of the day, the people in the ticket office who are working for minimum wage are just trying to do their job like everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, also, who cares?
Exactly.
Like, I know this is all discourse, and people love to be mad at. Just give them a reason, and people love to be mad. People, honestly, I feel like a lot of individuals, especially on social media, love nothing more than getting mad. Like, that's their number one pastime, is just getting upset at things. Like, who cares? Genuinely. If Devils fans bought tickets to a Ranger game, and let's say they won that game, and then afterwards they got on center ice and taking pictures, who cares? Why does that matter to you? Why, like, of all the things on this planet that you could be thinking about, that's what you're concerned about? Dude.
To play armchair therapist, I am understanding that this person is angry that the Devils lost on Saturday and was looking for a venue to take out said frustration.
Get better hobbies.
He took it out on somebody who works in the season. Like, the amount of people I saw saying, I'm emailing my ticket rep to find out why this happened, because they sold a group sale to like 50 people. The Devils, dude, your money is green. They don't care what team you root for. The Rangers, I don't know if the Rangers do this. I know the Devils do this. The Devils did this for a group of Islander fans last year. They did this for a group of Devils fans last year. You sell enough group tickets, they'll let you do anything. They'll let you play. They'll let you play with Dougie Hamilton. If you buy 70 tickets in a group, if you buy a whole section in the lower bowl, you get to play with Dougie Hamilton instead of Kevin Ball. At the end of the day, man, you got to be reasonable and understand that this is sports, and people in sports are working hard jobs. A lot of the people who work for these teams and those office jobs, these are not glamorous jobs. They are not the people leaking to Bob McKenzie and Darren Dreger. These are the people who are cold calling 8,000 people in the course of a month, trying to find 10 interested in buying a Devils 10 game plan. Have a little empathy for your fellow human, especially people working in sports doing a tough job. That's the biggest thing.
Things to care about, dude.
Yeah.
Like, this is such a waste. This is a waste of time. If you care about this, you're like, it's such a waste of time to be.
It's a
angry
terminally
about.
online
Who
thing.
Who cares,
to be
man? Like, is there first of all, is there nothing else going on in your life
if you're in New Jersey, maybe not.
About?
Maybe not.
That's your number one concern. Is that some guy or a group of people with a different jersey gets to be on the ice for a little bit after a game? Go outside. I am begging you. Christ, what a waste.
And I understand not liking other fans in your arena. I get that. I do. I as someone who goes to Ranger games, you have to understand. We are in the greater New York area. New York is a transplant city. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who live in the greater New York area who are from other places. As a hub in the Northeast, you are going to have visiting fans in your arena. That's just a reality of life. As long as you're not being an ass, it doesn't matter. Have fun. Don't ruin anyone else's time. These are golden rules. Your mother always tells you don't say something nice if you don't have anything to say at all. Whenever you say stuff like that, it bears out. Common sense. Common sense is a funny way of being very useful. I know we don't use common sense a lot in the world anymore. It's not, unfortunately. It's not. We've inverted
you would think
it
because it's in the name.
Yeah.
But if people have to tell you, hey, those guys with different jerseys on at center ice, don't get mad at them because it doesn't matter. If someone has to tell you that, please go touch grass. Please find more important things to be mad about. There's a lot. There's so many more important things to be mad about. You choosing that of all things is kind of insane to me.
Okay, so coming up, we are going to attempt something new here, something I was working on earlier, that'll make this episode a little more lively for the viewing experience. If you're listening, bear with us, but you will see the product of this. You will see the product of this on social media if you follow the show, which you should be at Liberty Blue Pod on Twitter and Instagram. So Andrew and I are going to play tic-tac-toe with the Immaculate Grid for the NHL. So I'm going to pull it up here, and this is the grid. I have not looked at it. I know as somebody, you would say, well, Nick, you had to pull it up. I have not looked at it. As the person who had it up first, Andrew, I will let you go first. So give me a square and who you want to put in that box.
Jimmy Vesey for Rangers and Maple Leafs.
Okay, that is a good pull. 7% solid. Okay, so I always go with a corner. So 100 season as a Sabre. I want to say Pat LaFontaine did this.
I was thinking Pat LaFontaine as well.
That's not a good score, but that counts. That counts. We'll take that. We'll take that. Okay.
Yeah. I'll go with Yager for the 100-point season.
As a Ranger.
Yeah, as a Ranger. Not as a Flame. I know he played as a Flame.
Yeah, no, on certain
points as a Flame.
No, he did not. He was on his way out. So
yeah,
I will do this. This one is a sickness one, but David Rittich.
Yeah, sure. 1%. That's not bad.
Yeah.
I mean the most. Eric Christensen for Wild and Rangers.
That is a
he was
deep cut.
a first line center for the Rangers. By the way, I want to point that out. There you go. What's the 0.1%, baby?
Yeah, Andrew, you win.
Yeah.
You win. On 0.3, you win. So I am very glad to say you are insane in the head for pulling Eric Christensen. You pulled Eric Christensen, who's 0.1. I will do this later on an incognito tab because I want to see what Justin Falk, the bad Justin Falk, was for Rangers Wild. Because he's good. Also, I didn't think of him till after you said it, but Justin Falk, somebody absolutely insane. Yeah. Okay, and the other thing I have for you, I'm going to tell you the teams this player played for, and you are going to attempt to guess who it is. This person is a former Ranger, as will all people who are on this category. So he played for the Colorado Avalanche, the St. Louis Blues, the Washington Capitals, the Rangers, the Lightning, the Ducks, and the Bruins. Once you piece it together, you will get it very quickly.
Is he a forward?
Incorrect. He is not a forward.
He's a defenseman.
Yes.
Played for the Bruins. I mean,
he's currently on the Bruins, if that
currently
helps.
On the Bruins.
Yes.
Oh, John Moore.
Currently...
No. Oh, John Moore played for the Blues. No. He has played for a lot of teams, though. I'll tell you that.
Yes. Colorado, St. Louis, Washington, and the Rangers. And then Tampa Bay. You know this, Andrew.
I do. Of course I know it. But as soon as you say it, I'll be like, oh, yeah, of course it's not.
I thought this was an easy one. I was going to pull out like John Mitchell for the first one and be difficult.
You know what's really funny about that? When you said he played for the Avalanche, I'm like, John Mitchell. Like that's my first guess. God, you should have picked John Mitchell. We would have been done with this segment by now. God damn it. Dude, why am I'm totally blanking on this. I can't figure this out.
He's born in New York State.
Oh, Kevin Shattenkirk.
There you go. Yeah. Defense. Yeah. Kevin Shattenkirk. I figured Capitals Rangers Lightning was the giveaway because he only played the 2 years in New York and then Washington.
Well, he played like 6 minutes in Washington.
Yeah, he was a deadline guy for them.
Yeah.
All right. Last segment we've got for you guys today. So I was at the Rangers. John Mitchell, funny, Andrew brought him up the last time. Base Chesty Andrew brought him up the last time I was talking to him about the Rangers, about how mentally ill we all were for caring this much about a hockey team. But the last segment I have for you is very straightforward. I was at the Rangers-Devils game on Saturday. It was about 7 minutes to go in the third period. TV timeout. And then I hear the Red Hot Chili Peppers Can't Stop. And I'm thinking to myself, God, this is awesome. What's better than this? I'm a little drunk, loud-ass music. Dudes. Guys being dudes energy, can't stop thumping along while the Rangers are huddling up before a face-off. And I'm thinking to myself, God, the vibes at a hockey game are the best, which brings me to the natural question I have for you, Andrew. I need your top 5 songs you like hearing between stoppages at a hockey game.
I mean, it's tough to say because, like, I want to see a list that I can kind of pick from because I know, I joked about this before we hit the record button I kind of feel like all arenas just play the same music, which I know is not true, but I watch a lot of hockey because I'm a psychopath. Like I'll watch a lot of Coyotes games. I'll watch the Oilers mostly because they're just hilarious. Like I'll watch a lot of these teams play. I watched a few Sharks games when they were giving up 10 goals. Like I was watching those because I'm crazy. Like It does seem like a lot of NHL arenas just love playing AC/DC and Darude Sandstorm. Like those are their
not a Sandstorm guy, Andrew.
Listen. I, as somebody that listens to current Darude, I follow his new stuff. He put out a new album recently. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but he did put out a new album. Like I am listening to current Darude. He has some bangers that aren't Darude Sandstorm. I promise you, he has a good catalog. But because Sandstorm is played at every NHL game ever, I'm just a little tired of it. I'll be honest with you. He has more than one song. Please, just listen to it. Go through his catalog a little bit. But I guess For Those About to Rock is a good one, but it's just overplayed. Like a lot of these ones,
it can be
so
overplayed, and it's still good.
I'm not saying that overplayed.
Piano Man is
bad.
Overplayed. It's still a good song.
Well, they're overplayed for a reason, right? It's because people like playing them. But can we just please add more songs to the rotation? I am on my knees at this Walmart right now I'm begging the NHL to add more songs in the arena. I can't hear the Killers again. Please.
You're complaining about that at a hockey game. You go to a bar? I hear Mr. Brightside 3 times in a night if I go out to a bar.
Yeah, listen. It's a problem across multiple avenues. I'm not saying it's not. But the thing, if you're at a bar and you hear it, you kind of forget that it's overplayed. If you're stone cold sober at a hockey game, or if you're 2 beers in and you hear For Those About to Rock, you're like, God, this goddamn song again. How many times am I supposed to hear this? But if you're 11 drinks in and you hear Mr. Brightside, you are screaming from the top of your lungs all the lyrics. So I just want NHL arenas to have more variety, man. Is that too much to ask?
So speaking of music and beers, and I went out after the Rangers Devils game on Saturday, and I was at Red's, the bar across the street from the Prudential Center, and I was drinking my beer, and I was like, wait a minute, I know this song. And I heard a Creed song in public in 2023, Andrew. We're so back.
Oh God. It's just we're getting it for the Super Bowl. It's fine. We're getting the band back together. We're getting
myself
Creed Super Bowl.
Nick Sararis have Creed tickets next summer for the Summer of '99 tour. I will be there doing the Scott Stapp voice, and I'm gonna have a great time. I will get my 5 songs in because I actually have 5 songs for this answer. Can't Stop, inspired the question. That's a great one.
I'm also not a big Chili Peppers fan, and I know that's a hot take. I just I don't. They're one of the bands. That's
an insane take.
I don't hate them.
The Chili Peppers are one of the bands.
I don't listen.
That is
I don't hate them. I don't hate them. I don't dislike them. I just don't listen to them. So to me, they're one of the bands. They're very popular. They're very influential. I'm not saying a word negatively about them. To me, they're one of the bands. I don't listen to them.
Take Me Out by Franz Ferdinand.
Yeah,
staple every hockey game.
Banger.
You get that every single hockey game. The Heads Will Roll remix.
There's better remixes.
The Heads Will Roll remix is a staple of hockey games. I hear that come on. I'm like, damn, we're ready. We're in this.
There are better remixes. Pick different remixes.
You mentioned AC/DC. I got to get Hell's Bells in there because you get the actual bells in there. Be like, okay, we're locking in. Time to put my phone back in my pocket. It's almost time for the face-off. And then last one, you got to give me Welcome to the Jungle, man. You get me Welcome to the Jungle late in a game, couple beers in, leaning forward in my seat like this, hands over my mouth. Nervous as all hell like this, locked in like you're in a movie. Nothing better.
If I just had like not even a penny, just like a fifth of a penny every time Welcome to the Jungle played at an NHL arena, I could buy the Rangers in a week. That's
how it's a bad thing.
It's not like, I'm not saying it's a bad song. I like the song. It's a banger. Can we stop playing it 746 times a game? That's all I ask. All I want is more song variety at these games. Please.
This is a good corner for you. I don't hate this. I don't hate this. This is a good corner for you. The anti-mainstream music guy. This is a good corner for you.
I'm not it's a good song.
He said the Chili Peppers are one of the bands of all time, and he says
because I don't listen to them. Like I'm not saying anything negatively about them as a group. I'm sure they have good songs. I just particularly don't listen to them, so I don't really have an opinion.
Scar Tissue and Under the Bridge and talk to me.
Listen, I have like
hitting
15,
me with the Peter Griffin sigh.
I have 15,000 songs in my music library, Nick.
I have 8. I understand. I have a lot of music too.
Like they're just RHCP is just not included.
You got 15,000 songs, and the Chili Peppers can't even crack the list. This is a tough grader, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They
got to put you in charge of the Hockey Hall of Fame and stop letting these bums in.
Listen, it can't be the Hall of Very Good. It can't. It just can't be.
Oh, man. It's going to be when Corey Perry and Patrick Elias get in there, but we'll talk about that some other time.
Patrick Elias I think is worth the admission. Corey Perry, I don't think is, but Patrick, like I've been on the Patrick Elias trade. I've been on there. I have good seats.
You got Patrick Elias season tickets. You're still dying on that hill.
Yeah. Okay. I have first class tickets on that bandwagon.
All right, that'll do it for this week's episode of the Liberty Blue Pod. Make sure you're following along wherever you get your podcasts, over on YouTube as well, on social, wherever you are on social. We are there at Liberty Blue Pod. The Rangers got quite the compressed schedule. They've got the Bruins over the weekend. They've got the Stars tonight. We'll have plenty to talk about next week. Until then, we'll see you
later.